Got our official sponsor, Greenwood Stock Trading. If you want to learn how to make some passive income, some extra money, so you can invest in your future and your kids' future, give them a call for a free 10-minute consultation, 281-760-3170. Go get to the bag. All right, Zhang beats, he defeats, excuse my language, defeats Joyce. I mean, it made it look easy. He made it look easy, destroys Joyce, and Joyce, my favorite heavyweight, probably not named Deontay Wilder. And what happened was, Joyce paid for not having no defense and learning how to get his head off the line. That's exactly what happened. He didn't learn to get his head off the line, and he hit Joyce at everything but the kitchen sink. He might have hit Joyce with the kitchen sink. And I was in the back room finishing up my mayor video, and they started, and I seen right away before I came into the front room that it didn't look good for him. It didn't look good for him. So Zhang stopped him in 6. I seen Zhang fight for the first time when he actually fought. Jesus Christ. He actually fought Hergovich. I think it was on the Joshua Usyk second undercard, and I was looking. I was like, man, that dude won that fight. I dozed off for a minute, but shoot, he was up so so far. Like, bro, ain't no way he can lose. They robbed him that fight. Straight up and down. They robbed him. And I knew he could fight. I know they were saying, well, he had gas tank issues and all that stuff. And you can tell because he was pacing himself in this fight a little bit. He was picking his shots, making sure, just controlling the pace. And that's one thing about conditioning. I mean, anything you do, you can't do things at 100% high intensity all the time, but you got to learn to pace yourself. And that's one thing about boxing that the great conditioned fighters get. They able to pace themselves. They able to know when to step it up, pace themselves, and then the great thing about it is, when they get to the championship rounds, then they able to hit the turbo boosters. They get stronger as the fight go on. But a part of it is pacing themselves and pacing it. And that's why you train to endure. That's what people don't understand. You train to endure. Your workout should be getting harder and harder and harder as it go on. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not throughout the week where it's just tougher because you got to save somewhere and tear. But they as your workout it should get harder and harder. And your last set, your last rep, it should be hard to finish. That's what actually builds the muscle and builds the character. But that's how you supposed to train. You supposed to train to endure. But pacing yourself is huge. That is huge, man. Because you go out there reckless, throwing a whole bunch of punches and all that type of stuff, and then you ain't got nothing left in the end. It's like, but he paced himself. He couldn't miss the backhand. He couldn't miss that shot. He couldn't miss it, bro. Literally. And then he mixed in an uppercut. He had some good punch variety. He had mixed in the jab here and there. He was just picking his shots. And Joyce was throwing shots, and they just didn't really. They were thudding, but they didn't really have no. They didn't have no pop. And this dude was a big dude. He's 6'6", and I didn't know he was 39 years old. They both was old. He's 6'6". So he eye level with Joyce, and he was a southpaw. So he found the home for the straight left hand, and that's the punch he posed to throw. And then after the straight left hand, guess what? Then he started finding the uppercut, and after the uppercut, then guess what? You know what I'm saying? He'll find a jab, he'll find a hook. You know what I'm saying? So at 39, of course, you're gonna have conditioning issues. Let's be real. Of course, you're gonna have conditioning issues. And Joyce, you cannot rely on your chin. And this dude knew exactly where his head was gonna be on the line. It's so funny, Joyce trying to get his head off the line a little bit and shit. He's all like, trying to give some what you call it. I would call it a false head movement, which it really wasn't real, and Zhang didn't really buy it. And then he tried to turn on the turbo boosters and tried to overwhelm Zhang with some volume, but it didn't really work because the damage was already done. His eye started closing, his nose was busted, um, and all Yang started doing is just start taking his time. Big win for China. He just really started taking his time in there, and and yeah, he just started taking his time in there. And the doctor was right to stop it. His orbital bone probably broken Joe Joyce, and Joe Joyce, he was didn't have much. Now you say, well, what Joe Joyce should have did different within his skill set? He should not have been as aggressive. That's why you taste the power. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly why you kind of taste the power. You feel the power out a little bit. You feel it on your arms. You feel it on your limbs a little bit. You roll it a little bit. Then you start to attack. He really should have just started, using his jab. Felt the power, used his jab. Instead of just thinking, well, I could walk through this guy. I ain't gonna do shit. He didn't. He wanted to go right through the fire, and he got hurt very, very early. And what happened was, he got hurt early, right? But he never was able to recover. The eye swelling, he got hurt, and then he wanted to prove to he wanted to prove to everybody that he didn't want to be embarrassed, right? He felt embarrassed in front of his people, and he wanted to get his lick back. And then he trying to go out there, get his lick, prove that it didn't hurt. Most fighters smile and laugh and shit, like, oh, it didn't really hurt. It didn't hurt like that. They smile and laugh and shit, but he wanted to get back in there and prove and try to prove that he was gonna run through Zhang. He kept running into left hooks, running into jabs, or start running into the uppercut, and the uppercut started snapping that head straight back. And that was it. Instead of, kind of go out there, have respect for, even though he's 39 years old, what's Joe Joyce, 37 years old? You got to respect everybody punching power at heavyweight. You gotta respect everybody punching power. You gotta respect everybody's punching power. And that's the God honest truth. And the one division, in my opinion, that you can't sit there and depend on your chin and expect to have a small prosperous career is in my opinion, is this division, the heavyweight division. A lot of times you can see guys take great shots, and everybody got a neurological punch count. Those type of dudes that depend on their chin, they never last. But depending on your chin in the heavyweight division and solely on and not having nothing else is a very, very bad decision, because you gotta respect everybody punching power. He came out there, he didn't have no respect for Zhang's punching power. And he got embarrassed, got clipped, and then his pride kicked in, and then he got his ass kicked, got his eye, probably orbital bone busted, and that was it. And that was it. And that was it. So, obviously, excuse me. Obviously, I think it was a bad game plan. And what's so funny is coaching, they're talking about, well, you got to move your head. Your head gonna be at. Y'all training for how long? He can't get his head off the line. Y'all been training for how long, bro? So, like I said before, he had no respect for Zhang's punching power. And when he tasted it, he probably felt like he can take it. And before he knew it, it was over with, because the damage had already been done. The damage was already done to him. So I don't think he can come back from this. Honestly, he has a rematch clause, Joe Joyce. So they might do it again, but I don't see nothing being different. He might be a little bit more tentative. He an older man too. Unless Zhang just don't train, he just get fat and don't do nothing. But yeah, he's an older man too. I don't see it. You know, uh, that man just sat there and he sat there and did target practice. He sat there and had target practice, literally. So ain't too much more gonna change. You know, too much more gonna change. He did target practice, and for Joe Joyce, he should have came out with more respect for his power, and he didn't. Simple as that. And he paid the price. He got embarrassed, tried to shuckle it off, and got beat up. So shout out to Zhang. He might have to do this again. I think he can. Hey, but let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance, get notifications. We go live and drop video. Financially, want to support the channel. Cash App, $ CJ Good 313. Venmo CJ Good 313. PayPal link description. Check out the fight reaction playlist. Check out the heavyweight boxing talk playlist. More videos like this. But this will happen when you don't. Heavyweight is different. When you at the smaller weight classes, yeah, these dudes are weight bullies, quote unquote weight bullies, and they can absorb the punishment and keep moving forward because they naturally bigger. At heavyweight, you gotta respect everybody puncher power because it ain't no weight limit. That man was 6'6", 39 years old. You 6'6", 37 years old. He can punch. You thought because he lost to Hargovich, even though he won that fight, you was going to walk through him. Sadly mistaken. So appreciate y'all. Just imagine if he was in there with Wilder, what would have happened? Or Tyson Fury.